Hello everyone, this is Mark. Today on the Anycubic Photon S printing 3 Dragon Knight minis on one build plate. I thought we'd test out the capabilities of this photon by filling up the build plate, and a couple reasons I wanted to do that. First reason was I wanted to see how long it would take to print 3 minis at one time. Should take the same time it takes as one mini, but we'll test that out right now. Also, these minis, I found these minis here at my mini factory. Amazing. Arian Croft Here put these out here, and as you can see on here, he put in here that all 3 should print without support. So I wanted to kind of challenge that, see if we could print these without supports. I did add platform support to them at 5mm to keep them off the build plate. I felt that would allow to remove them a little bit easier from the build plate, and I wanted to slice all 3 together with a new program. Ghost Engineering over on Reddit suggested that I try this Chit U-Box. I'll add a link to that, and I'll also add this link here for the Dragon Knights. So we're going to give that a try. Chit U-Box said that the slicer on Chit U-Box is much better, and the support structure is much more robust and easy to work with. So I'll add a link to that, but let me show you how we did this. So what we're first going to do is we went to my mini factory. We found the Dragon Knights. They're 28mm. We're just going to download them here. Click on download. Also, I'm sure Arian would love it if you wanted to become a supporter of him here through his Patreon. And so what we did was we just pulled these off. We downloaded these guys right here, the Dragon Knights, and we're going to place them on a file on our desktop. And right here, we're just going to place them in here. And we're going to open them up in here, and here they are, all 3 of them. So we've extracted them here from the zip file, cut them, and place them back in this file here. And this is just a file I'm putting together to make it simpler for this video, keep everything in one spot. So you can see all 3 of them here. Next thing we did was I opened up this Chit U-Box 64, and you can see this program open up right here. It seems to be a really easy program to work with. Here's the build plate. So what I'll do is I'll take this off first, okay? And we're just going to go up here to the top left and click Open File. And we're going to go to our desktop, find the file where we had put those STL files. And I put them all in one file here together. I'm just going to copy them all and hit open, and they should load right up here nicely. It puts them in nice order here. If they're not in the right order, you can click right here to auto layout, boom, and it will. I set this earlier to 7.5 to keep a little distance between them, but as you see, it puts them in a nice little area in the middle of the build plate here. Okay. As I said earlier, I wanted to pick these up 5mm off of the build plate to put bottom support on them. I don't know that you can't print these probably right directly onto the plate, but I've heard mixed reviews on getting them off the plate might be a little difficult. So I'm going to go up here to the top right and click Select All, and then I'm going to come over here and click on this movement, and then I'm just going to put this right here at 5. And as you can see now, they're all lifted right up off the plate. And then I'm going to go in here into, first thing, I'm going to go into my support settings, and I'm just going to come down here and hit platform on them. And this should add supports to the bottom. And it added it to the one but not the other, so I guess you have to pick those separately. We'll go back and, oh, here, it's still working. Sorry, I didn't realize. So what I'm going to do, I don't want the supports all the way around this, the auto supports. So I'm going to click right down here in the bottom right. You see delete support. And I'm just going to click on these supports and I'm going to hit delete on my keyboard. Boom. Now as you can see, I'm just taking the supports off that's adding. I sure hope this works, or we might end up with quite a mess on our printer. I think I'll leave the ones on the bottom around the back of the cape there. I'm going to take off all these guys. Right here. Boom, boom, boom. Sorry, this is probably pretty tedious to watch, but we're going to just try and get all the gray supports off here. Sometimes it'll leave a little ball where it connects. I think I'm going to take this one off here and leave their lower ones on there. Boom. I'm going to take these off. And spin around, see if we have anything else. It looks pretty clean now, so everything's on the bottom here. And that's just basically to get it off of the plate there, and it'll make it real easy when we go to take these off of the plate after it's done printing. And so now we have this kind of where I wanted it. I'm going to slice it in the Photon workshop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click back to slicer settings. I want to make sure this here is on Anycubic Photon, not on default. This means that when it starts setting up these files, it'll set them up for the Anycubic Photon. I have the Anycubic Photon S, but Ghost Engineering had said that that should work. There's lots of documentation on Facebook Photon group about that. So then I'm going to just save that up here on the top left. I'm going to save this file. I'm putting it all in this same file here, so I'm just going to call this all Dragon Knights supported. Okay, and then I'm going to save it right there. Okay, and it says right down in there bottom right, write successfully, open the folder. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to close this out now. I'm going to come right back in here and I'm going to open my Photon workshop that came with the Anycubic Photon S. And now you can see that load up right now. Okay, and then I'm just going to click right up here in the top left. You'll see this folder. I'm just going to open up on my desktop. I'm going to find that file that I have. It's this one right here. And I'm going to go to All Nights Supported and hit Open. And this should load the whole thing in here. It should load everything right inside this file. As you can see now, they're all loaded nicely right onto this build plate, how we just sliced them. And then now that we have this, everything looks good here. I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to click up here on the top left, boom, to the slice, and it should ask me where I want to put it. I'm going to put it right in that file we've been putting everything, and I'm just going to put All Nights, All Dragon Knights. Okay, and so now what this is going to do is it's actually going to prepare a Photon file for the printer. And so it's going through and thinking about how it wants to do this now. As you can see over here on the right, these are all of our standard slicing settings. As you can see on the right, I haven't changed any of these settings yet. So these are all of our standard settings for the Photon that came with the machine. I'm still using the green resin that came with the machine, so I didn't feel that there was any reason to start playing with the slicer settings. I did receive some of that I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but it's Lego blue resin today, so I'm looking online to find the right settings for that for the Knights. For these Knights, so I want to, once I find those, I'll change the settings for my next print and we'll go from there. So as you can see here, it's going to slice to that file. It'll set up a Photon file with everything, and then I will just take this. I'm going to pause this video right now, and I'm going to start when it gets to the end of this slicing, and then I'll show you how I save it onto my thumb drive. Okay guys, we're back. We're getting close to the end of this slice here. Sometimes it'll go from like 75 to 100 in like 2 seconds, so I just wanted to jump in a little earlier here. My slicer settings are 0.05 layer thickness. Exposure time is 8. Off time is 1. Bottom exposure time is 60. Bottom layers are 3. Z lift distance is 6. Z lift speed is 3. Z retract speed is 3. Again, those are the default settings for the Photon workshop for the Anycubic Photon S. And I figured they'd work fine on the Anycubic Photon S, printing 3 Dragon Knights on 1 build plate video. And that's where we're at now. So let's, I'll show you how I put this on the thumb drive real fast after it's, I don't like saving them directly onto the thumb drive. I like to put them into a file on my laptop and then copy them over to the thumb drive and then put it into the printer, as if something were to happen in to the thumb drive or during the print, or somehow it was corrupted, I could go back and find that file on my computer. Not that that'll probably ever happen, but crazier things have happened. So I'm excited. Like I said, I got that Lego blue resin, and I'm thinking we might try and I found a really good STL file on, I think it was Thingiverse, a Deadpool file of a Deadpool bust, and I think that would look really cool in that blue, so that'll probably be the next one we print. And so if anybody would like to suggest something to be printed, please do. I have a couple different colors of resin now going. I was also thinking about printing that test block, so we could test out some of the settings on the printer and really figure out what it's all about here. So please comment if you'd like to see something. So as you can see here, the Photon file has been sliced, so we'll hit preview here, and that'll just give us a preview of what's going on the build plate as slice by slice. So as you can see, that's what it looks like on the build plate. I would have liked these to be a little closer connected. It seems like they work a little better that way, but I'm not real sure. So here's the supports. They go up, hit the bottom of the model. You can see follow up through the model right to the top of the model here, and that's it. So that looks real good. I'm going to close that out. I'm going to go back to this file here, and you should be able to see right in here. Here's the Photon file, all Dragon Knights, and my son Carson was nice enough to point out that Knights in this reference is spelled with a K. Thank you, son.
You're welcome.
So, anyways, I'm going to copy this here, and then I'm going to go right down here. I have this Lexar thumb drive, and I'm just going to paste it right here. And so we're just going to, boom, send it over there. What I like to do is put all of the Photon files into like a folder here after I've printed them, and just leave the one Photon file on the thumb drive open, so when you stick that into the printer, that's the only file it'll show in the display on it, and you know which one to pick. Because if you have 4 or 5 Photon files here, you'll see a whole bunch of them on the printer, and they're really, really tiny, the display, and hard for my old eyes to see. So anyways, we've saved that now onto the thumb drive. I will just remove the thumb drive here from the laptop. And that's it. We are ready to pop this in the printer, fill up our resin vat, and fire her up, start burning these Dragon Knights. So thank you, Arian Croft. Thank you, My Mini Maker Factory. I feel like I got that wrong. My Mini Factory. And thank you, everybody, for watching us here. Let's see what we can do. Follow us out to the garage. Alright guys, today we're back. We're going to print out today. We put on the Anycubic Photon S 3 Dragon Knights on 1 plate. So we are going to see how we could do with putting 3 minis on the plate and see how they print out. So Arian Croft had designed these minis, and in his notes there on My Mini Factory, he put that they did not need any support. I still popped them up off the plate 5 millimeters and put some base supports on them underneath them. I'm a little worried to try and actually stick them to the plate, and I'm not sure that's what his intention was anyways with that. So what I'm going to do now is fill up this resin vat back to where it needs to be. It looks like we used quite a bit on that last little print. I printed out a unicorn for my daughter, which I didn't film. It was kind of a last minute print, and Fluffy the unicorn, I believe it was, came out really cool. So that's about where we need to be here. That looks pretty good in the vat. We're right on the line. I have put together the slice file here. I'm going to turn the printer on. It's on my thumb drive, the file here, the photon file. And so on this one I did a little different. I prepared the supports on the bottom of the file, and I set them up on, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but it's Chit U-Box, a different software. Some of the guys had commented that that's a better structure to support the file. So what I did was I set up the file and the support on there, and then once I had it where I liked it, I moved it over onto the photon for the actual slicing onto the onto my thumb drive. And so we'll see how that turns out, and we'll go from there. So thumb drive's in, vat's filled up. Let's check and make sure the build plate is solid in there. It looks good. I've cleaned that after the last one real good. Let's go ahead and get this guy started here. So there it is. It's the Dragonites by Arian Croft on My Mini Factory, and I'll put a link to these guys on there. They look really cool, and we're going to put 3 minis on one plate and see how they turn out. Boom, let's go. Our build plate is dropping. This is always the part that makes me the most nervous. When I go ahead and print another print directly after something that I've printed, sorry about that, I cut out for a minute, but what I was saying was anytime that I go ahead and start a print and I haven't emptied the vat and filled it back up and checked, I get a little nervous. So what I do is I make sure that all of the supports on the model are still intact when I remove it, so I know that I didn't lose anything inside of my vat. If you're missing a couple of the small little supports, they're probably inside your vat. You probably won't see them when you're just looking down into it, because it's almost impossible, and that could cause damage to your LCD if you try and print again without cleaning it and refilling it and going through that process. So but the last print I did looked really good, and all the supports were still in place, so I think I'm pretty good here. So we're going to go ahead, print this out. As you can see, the time right now is 5:50 p.m. We will start at 5:50 p.m. and I'm going to take note of how long these 3 minis take. There should be standard 28 millimeter minis, and we'll see how long they take to print, and I'll put that on here too, because a lot of the comments, people wanted to know how long these minis were taking to print. Obviously 1 mini takes the same as 3 minis, or however many you can fit on the plate, right? But we're kind of challenging the Photon S this time by adding 3 minis on here, so we'll see how it does. Look forward to finding out the results later on, and I'll pull this back up once it's finished printing. Okay guys, we are back. It is now 10:30. The printer went off right around an hour ago. So we started at 5:55. Took about 3.5 hours to print this out. So something I just noticed, it looks like we have had our first failure, or partial failure. We printed 3 minis and we have 2 on the plate. So I'm guessing something was left in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to first clean these minis off the plate, put them in some alcohol, get them soaking, and then we'll go through the process of seeing what's the current situation in our vat here, emptying that out, and straining it back into our resin container. So let me just set this up right here, try and get a good little overview shot here. So back it up a little bit more so we can see what we're doing here. And first thing I'm going to do is I have my goggles on, and I'm going to put, I have my goggles on, and I'm going to put my gloves on right now, and then we'll see what we have here, get into it. So as I said, this is the first time we've had a failure or partial failure on a print. This is my 4th print so far. Sorry, 5th print. I also printed one for my daughter, but that one's out. So let's get the bottle of resin. We'll set it over here. This is my 91% alcohol in a pickle jar. I'm going to set that right here. I watched somebody the other day on a video, and they had, I forget exactly who it was, but what they had did was they had put some of the alcohol in a spray bottle, and they had used it to just spray off the print pad or the build plate and their prints, and it looked like it worked pretty darn good for them. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, these prints turned out amazing here. The 2 out of 3 that turned out. Not sure if you could see that, but we definitely are missing one print on the back there. I had 1, 2, 3, and this one is just some little partial support. So what we're going to do first is let's clear off this plate real fast. And we'll get that inside the alcohol, and there goes 1, and there goes 2, and I'm just going to clean off this leftover supports from the last build there. And I'll just wipe it right in. Here's a paint tray I have, and then I'm just going to take and wipe this all down with a paper towel just to clean it up real fast. And then I'll take some alcohol wipes to it hereafter and give it a nice cleaning before I try to print on this again, or just to make sure it's fine. So right now, let me just set that right here, and I'll take the tip of my my scraper here and just use that alcohol to clean off the tip of this. I like to keep all my tools nice and clean, so this resin is really nasty, and you don't want to leave it on. The other day, I left some on my my flush cutters on the grips without knowing it, and then I went to grab it later, and it was like rubbery and nasty. So anyways, those look clean. Next thing I'm going to do, so I have both of those prints right in here, and I'll just let them soak in this for about 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes. Should give me some time to clear out the work on this vat here. If it's not too detailed, that should get us in a good place on the vat. So first thing I'm going to do, like I said, I'm going to get these. These are just some alcohol wipes here. I'm going to, I really like using these. They're really easy, convenient, and they seem to work really well. I'm just going to clean off this top where the build plate connects to the printer in there. And then I'm just going to go along and get any resin that's left in here off. Clean it real well. All these cracks, get it nice and clean there, so when I put it back in this machine, it's exactly how you'd want it. Slide it back in there for safekeeping. There we go. Tighten it down a little bit. I'll set this back here. I didn't use this little scraper here yet, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these little pieces of supports from the one that broke, and I'll just throw them. I have a box. I like to keep a little cardboard trash box with me here, and that just allows me to keep a cleaner area as I'm working here. So next thing we want to do is so it's 10:45, so I don't want to let these sit in alcohol forever, so I'm just gonna get busy on moving forward with cleaning this vat out here. So one thing I did last time that seemed to work pretty well, until I can get a funnel, I'm going to use this little cut. It's just a plastic bottle cut in half. Why I liked it last time is because I noticed on some of the videos when they were emptying their vat through the strainers that they used a normal, some people were using a normal funnel, and the funnel has a shape that's very similar to the strainer, and so one problem they were having was overflow. The resin was overflowing over the funnel because the same shape or contour there. If you look at this funnel is going to, well, I have a couple of them there, so I get rid of one. This funnel is going to sit kind of off shape here. This bottle isn't quite as nice as the last one, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set it in there and then pour my resin right down the center there and set that in my resin container, and that should get us a nice little setup here for getting our resin back in there. I also have a rubber squeegee, something that 3D Print Farm turned me on to. And that really cleans out this nicely. One thing you want to do when you're taking this resin vat out is you want to kind of work it up, pop the back up and the front up. I watched that on another video, and it seemed to be useful in keeping getting this off of here in case it's stuck to. So I just worked it off. I'm going to slide it off. As you can see on this printer, you might not be able to see it very well, but right here on here, I sure hope this works well. I'm going to stand up. There's a there's kind of a funnel on one corner of the vat, and you want to make sure you're pouring out that funnel corner of the vat, because it seems to obviously work the product right, the resin right down into the corner a little bit nicer. And so I'm just pouring a little bit at a time. You don't want to overfill this and have a, strainer full of resin here with, it's bound to spill over a little bit. So I wish I could fast forward this for you guys, because it's like watching paint dry, I'm sure, but we're about halfway through this now. So I'm not seeing a lot of hard products, so inside of here, so I'm guessing that the failure happened pretty quickly after the start of this print, and it didn't really build up anything solid before it started to fail. So but we'll see once we get down to the bottom of this here. At the price of this resin, you want to try and make sure you get most of it back into the container. I've done a couple prints over the last few days, so really this hasn't really been in here much more than about 48 hours. I would say, I'm not sure how long people use this, but I wouldn't want to pour it back in the bottle and use it again if it really was goopy. So we're about to the end here. Then let me show you what 3D Print Farm had shown me on a video they have, is just use this little squeegee, which they link to on their video, and squeegee out what's left in here. Yeah, we have some hard product down here on the bottom of this, on the FEP, which will be our first challenge, truthfully, with this machine. And so I'm not sure if it'll pop right off or if it's going to be like taking hard candy from a baby, but we'll see what we can do here. So I'm just cleaning most of the resin out. This thing does a good job at getting most everything off here. And so once I get close to where I think it's pretty good, I'm going to set this down here, and then I'm going to set this on its side right here, and I'm going to get some of these little alcohol wipes here. You don't want to use a paper towel on the FEP, as you'll possibly put scratches in it, and you start scratching this up, and it, I'm sure will have poor effects on the way your print happens with the pixels and such. So I'm just going to use this alcohol wipe to get in here. I'm not going to be going back to the green resin in this. I'm going to be changing over to the new Glow, I'm not sure that's how you pronounce it, the blue that I just arrived via wonderful Amazon today. And so I'm going to have to get this guy really clean. Let me work these minis around over there. Get one more of these wipes. And so I wish I had another Anycubic user in the neighborhood here, because I have my first challenge here of this, getting this hard piece of what looks like hard, oh, I don't know, like a melted Jolly Rancher in the bottom of this FEP here. And I'm going to give it a whirl with the plastic little spatula that came with this guy, see if it'll pop off, which would be the absolute most wonderful thing that could happen here. For some crazy reason, I think that might not be the kind of wonderful thing that does happen. So let's see what we have here. So I don't know if you could see it there, but it's right there in the center. So I'm going to set this right here, and then I am going to clean this spatula off that I was using to clean off this little rubber spatula. And while I'm at it, I think I'd probably be best served by putting this contraption right over in my cardboard box, and I will take one more of these little alcohol wipes, and I I will clean around the lid and absolutely everything on this bottle, so it's nice. And wow, this bottle was empty when I filled it today, when I started this print. And now after that print's finished, I've poured back what was left in the vat, and it looks about maybe 40% full. So here we go. So now I'll put this back on here. And clean all around that. All around this lid here and the outside. And that's that. I have the resin back in there. It's been strained. And then now let me see if I can just pop this off. I think I'm being optimistic, but I'm just using this little spatula they gave me like this. Boom, that is beautiful. That's the best sound I've heard in a long time. So after hitting it from one direction, I came back and I hit it from the other direction. And that dude just popped right out of there. It snapped right off the plate. And it really was about the size of maybe a quarter and about, oh, I don't know, 0.5 microns. And I don't know if you can see that, but it looks like a potato chip of resin. It's popped off now. Now I can go back and take and clean this thing out real good. I think I will put a little bit of actual 91% alcohol in this white here. Just a little bit right on there. And then I will go inside here with the 91% alcohol and just give this inside of this vat and everything a really good cleaning, because like I said, I'm going to change over brands and color of resin right now to that Alley Glow blue. And so we'll see how that photopolymer resin works. So that was it, guys. This was the Anycubic Photon S 3 Dragon Knight miniatures on one plate video, and it turned into how to clean out a little build mistake. So I'll post this as soon as I get a chance, and we'll go from there. It looks like everything's back in a pretty clean state. And we'll set it up. It's ready to go for the next print when that comes. So have a good night, guys. Please subscribe to my channel. I have to get a bunch of subscribers so everybody can get out there and people can see what I'm doing, and they can start giving me really good comments on my channel so I can figure out what people want to see, and we can work through this together. Thanks for following me on my journey. If you like this, hit the like button and hit the little bell that says, it'll remind you when I put new videos out. Have a great day. Thanks.